Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, May 27th, and this is the AgYield War Room. I'm Dan Dempsey, and I'll be moderating today's session. As always, if you got any questions or comments, please feel free to drop us a line in the chat area, and we'll be sure to get to it during the show. Overnight markets here, July corn down 3/4 at 458 3/4. July soybeans were up 6 1/4 at 1066 1/2, and July Chicago wheat was down 9 1/2 at 533. No export sales announcements here this morning, so we'll jump right in. Hope everybody had a nice weekend. Apologies from last week. I know we talked about a hard open this morning at 8:30, and that would have been fun, but there was a miss. Our wires got crossed a little bit on the CME website there, so we did open the markets last night, obviously, and traded. What we know here, starting this week, President Trump announced that he's delayed the 50% additional tariff on the EU until July 9th. So again, we're negotiating in public, and it seems like maybe they started to get a little bit of traction. So he pushed that down the road just a touch here. So that's gotten the outside markets up pretty good here this morning. The Dow's up a little over 500. And looking at our markets here, there's talk that we should see or could see our first crop rating here this afternoon at 3:00. We'll get crop progress, but they may give us a crop rating as well. So everybody will be taking a look to see where we're starting the year off. We should, by all accounts, from what we've been hearing, start in a pretty good position based on how we've gotten it in. So with that, Dustin, maybe give us a few thoughts on your mind as we start the week, and then we'll throw around the room.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, good weather. I think one thing to kind of keep in mind that I think that's just going to be a bit of a headwind with the forecast we have right now. But to end last week, one of the things that I thought was interesting is the Brazilian real continues to kind of trade towards the highs of 2025, and that might be why we're starting to get towards the upper end of where we've been for beans recently too. And it is that time of year where we usually find not usually, but we often find support into June in your typical seasonal fashion. So between now and then, if we can get a breakout above the monthly highs on the real, I'd be looking for hopefully some support into just your general seasonal high as well. So that's one thing I'm watching. Dollar's been weak, of course, and weather though is really not anything that's going to probably push us up with what we see right now.
Very good. Ben, what's on your mind as we start the week?
Just coming out of a long weekend, I think people are digesting inputs and agree there's not a lot from a weather standpoint today to get excited about. I do think beans, in spite of kind of a cloud over that market with tariffs and trade war type issues, I think it's been very resilient. It looks good on the charts. It doesn't mean it looks great, but it's been resilient. Last week we saw 23,000 soybeans liquidated by managed money, and we were able to be higher on the week in soybeans. And in corn, they liquidated 18,000 contracts, and corn finished 16 higher. So I think this week it'll be a pretty big week to see if we can get some sort of a seasonal rally as we, look forward to getting a peek into what late June through July weather looks like. But today there doesn't seem to be anything pressing on the weather front. So we'll see what happens here today.
I see Southern Ohio's got a system rolling through again here this morning. Ben, why don't you give us a little breakdown on your folks out east? Are we starting to see some progress through the last week or so?
Decent progress over the weekend. They're going to catch these rains, and I think they're going to have a wide open window. In talking to my client down there, he thinks he's got a 10-day window after this rain falls through, and he's optimistic that they will have it all planted pretty soon. I don't think that there's tremendous concern there about planting corn on June 1st. So I think it all gets done. This latest window is very helpful, very different from 2019, where it was really wet, stayed wet, and got wetter in June. So I think that anyone using those sort of, equating this to something like that, I think is misplaced. So I think it'll be okay.
Oh, very good. Jace, you said driving around this weekend, everything Northern Illinois looks pretty good so far. Off to a good start.
Yeah, crops look good. Caught some rain recently. Most guys are done in our area. Talked to some of my buddies that are also farmers. So yeah, everything went real smooth. Not growing crazy fast. I think just the cooler weather's kind of stunted a little bit, but in the forecast, this heat that's coming,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to really kind of blow up. So yeah, I don't see a lot of threatening weather for our markets right now. I think we're going to be at the mercy of outside markets. We just had the bill pass the House. It's going to be going to the Senate. There's a lot of money on the sidelines. Bond markets nervous, right? All kind of outside markets are really nervous, right? You've seen gold and Bitcoin back up to their highs. So I feel like we're going to be trading, like I said, outside influences versus, our kind of normal things that we trade on weather and stuff for a little while. Obviously that's going to be a factor, but right now I just don't think it's going to affect, our day-to-day moves.
Yeah, and you look at, you referenced the bill, and a lot of the some of the GOP leadership, just in terms of the different groups in the Senate, talking about they're going to have to chop this bill up. I mean, the spending that they're talking about in this bill does not have enough votes.
Yeah, well,
as it sits.
There's the Tea Party guys, Senate guys that are still in there that say this is way too much spending.
Yeah.
They're going to dig their feet in and hopefully get Trump's attention to, maybe cut some of the spending. So I think a lot of people are thinking this is going to work through the Senate pretty quick, and then it's going to get to Trump's desk and sign it. And I think the markets are nervous when that bill passed, right? I mean, and the level of spending, I think there's a lot of hope that some of these things would get addressed. And it kind of seems like the the old way of Washington, right? Everybody just wants more money.
Yeah. Well, I thought your brother made a good point last week, and actually Ron Johnson from Wisconsin is kind of on the cut the deficit side of the aisle, and a Republican from Wisconsin. He said the same thing. He said if you went back just to pre-COVID levels of spending, we would be satisfied, but we can't get there. And so it just feels to me like over the weekend it wasn't like they're pretty dug in on this thing.
Yeah. I was listening to a couple of podcasts over the weekend, and somebody made the point, just the level of, printing of the dollar. And Dustin's made this point a lot, right? Like we've, the massive inflation we've had just over the last 5 or 6 years. I think the value of your dollar, went from, $1 to 82 cents, right? In just 6 years, right? And it's in 25 years, it's cut in half. So yeah, just kind of wild, a handful of years. And to your point, Dan, just going back to some of those spending levels just pre-COVID would be huge. I don't think we'll get there, but I think that's the hope of some of these Tea Party guys.
Yeah, and it could be a starting point, right? Maybe they don't get all the way, but at least if they get a little bit, it's always about just getting a little bit and satisfying everybody. But at the end of the day, they need the win. They want the tax cuts. You got midterms that's looming, and they're going to need to come to some sort of an agreement.
Yeah. But
anything else on the grain side, guys? As we start the week, we can move over to Ryland. Ryan, looking at cattle on feed, I mean, I think at the surface, it felt pretty neutral, but I think there's a path to it being friendly as you look at some of the numbers that came through. With lowest placement volume for April since 2020, which was obviously that COVID print. And then, looking at hogs, it just feels like a lot of that excitement, that premium up in the front, kind of starting to bleed out a little bit. So I guess give us your thoughts as we start the week.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. I mean, it definitely just kind of a neutral report if you're just looking at it ostensibly with how the market was expecting. Everything was close in line on feed at 98.5, placements 97.4, and marketing's 97.5. So it was just pretty much spot on. You make a case that placements were a little bit out of sync with the estimates, depending on who you were looking at. But generally speaking, I'd say that's overall pretty neutral. But yeah, I mean, how much is not priced into the market at this point? I think that's the real question. Are in some of the longer term implications, are we starting to see heifers getting retained, lower percentages entering the slaughter? I mean, these are the things that'll probably down the road affect us longer term. But as of right now, cash markets are still up. Numbers are still declining, just from an inventory standpoint. So, I mean, yeah, it's definitely got a longer term kind of bullish tinge to it. It's just a matter of what the market doesn't see, I think, or doesn't know. I mean, managed money actually started backing off a little bit on their longs as of last week. So they're 132,000 net long, but they started to gain or started to put back on more feeders, started to increase that kind of commitment. So yeah, it's just a matter of how long can this go? How long can packers lose money paying up? It seemed like cash trade was around 220 in the south, 230 in the north. So I mean, we're still seeing record high prices across the board. Like I said, so we're just kind of seeing how cash shapes up. We'll see if this was enough to kind of move the market at all or change anybody's perspective. But as of right now, it just looks like the report just pretty much on the neutral side. So we'll see how that shapes up. Maybe we see some post Memorial Day demand coming back in on the beef side of things. Beef markets are hitting contract highs as well. So yeah, I mean, there hasn't been an interruption of this. So we'll just kind of see how it goes. I think I wish I had more for you, but I really do think that it's just, eventually you get to a price that somebody doesn't want to pay. On the hog side of things, yeah, just two-sided action. July just kind of holding the 20-day moving average. Carcass was up 23. Cash just kind of feels like it's been creeping higher here. But yeah, that the premiums on the board definitely are a bit of a question mark right now. So we'll see how that goes. Looking for some support on the carcass side of things, just as retailers start to jump, maybe to refill some of their meat counters after this long weekend. But yeah, managed money is back on the party wagon, increasing length by 10,000 contracts. So we're still seeing the funds still seeing them want to stay pretty long this market. As far as the time frame goes, it just seems like we've run into quite a bit of hedge pressure and taking advantage of that premium right now.
All right, very good. Appreciate the update. Again, we will have crop progress and potentially first conditions report here this afternoon, 3:00 Central. We'll take a look at whether those numbers fall, and then certainly visit about it in tomorrow morning's War Room. Appreciate everybody that tunes in on a daily basis. If you wouldn't mind, throw us a like and certainly subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything to do so. It'll keep you up to speed on everything that's going on with AgYield. So again, thanks to everybody that supports the show. We're doing this live every day that the markets are open on X, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live, 8:15 Central Time. Appreciate the thoughts and comments here this morning, guys. It was a good show. We hope everybody has a good start to the week, and we look forward to talking to you again tomorrow.
The War Room is proudly presented by AgYield. For over 50 years, the AgYield team has provided grain marketing and risk management solutions for growers across the country. Our veteran consultants harness cutting-edge technologies to pinpoint risk, optimize market performance, and protect your farm's profitability. Discover a new approach to farm revenue management at AgYield.com.
Hey guys, Jack here. Be sure to support the show by hitting the like button, leaving us a comment, and subscribing to the channel for all the latest updates. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.